One of the things about sustainable wealth that will blow your mind if you'll take the time to understand it is that the accumulation of wealth, resources, and assets isn't about greed. In fact, if you are greedy about these accumulations over time, it usually doesn't work out in your best advantage. But I'm Justin Hitt with Sustainable Wealth Secrets. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the philosophy of charitable giving. Now, this is very important. Wealthy people don't give to charities just for the tax break. They don't give to charities just for the feel good. They give to charities as a seed for greater growth and prosperity in the community, greater growth and prosperity in society. In fact, charitable giving is an influence activity, not necessarily a charitable activity. See, Bill Gates gives for his own reasons. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is established probably first as a tax break, but it's also established to support very specific activities that are of interest to the stakeholders of the charitable organization. The Clinton Foundation, for example, the Reagan Library, all of these organizations are created with a very dynamic purpose. It's not just the purpose that they're describing in public. Now, I'm not saying this is nefarious. I'm not saying that there's a scheme going on. And I'm definitely not saying that the wealthy take advantage of people by forming charities or supporting charities. But here's the thing to understand. If you have a large amount of money and you put it into a foundation or you put it into a charity or you pledge it to these organizations, it can be a catalyst for these organizations to get more of what they need to do their good work. That's important to understand. You have to judge the charity by its effort, by its work, by its activity. There are corrupt charities that spend 40-50% of their funds that were raised on executive salaries. That's bad. We don't want that. Wealth is about planting a seed so that you grow more abundance than you put in originally. So I'd much rather support a charity that helps children understand entrepreneurial methodology or entrepreneurial skills so that that child can find a need in their community and fill it with the knowledge and education they've been able to receive. So helping the kid go to school is great, but if the school's training them to be a slave or is training them to work in a factory or is otherwise not caring for them, such as the Indian schools in Canada, then we have to ask the question, is that money invested in society or is that money simply blown away for a feeling, blown away for a tax deduction, given away for whatever purposes? Now, the mentality that we have here in this particular newsletter, in this membership, is that we are stewards of the gifts, of the money, of the influence, of the different kinds of profit that are available. And there's different kinds of capital. There's social capital. There's your knowledge is as a certain type of capital. Your ability or capacity to serve is as part of capital. There's more capital in our model. So if you're a member of this world, you're on our planet in the sense of being a member of Sustainable Wealth Secrets, you're inside of an ecosystem that understands that you can't harm one to benefit another. Doesn't work that way. Eventually, the person's going to get tired of the harm. They're going to push back. So there's a few, if you're in the membership site, there are a few documentaries that show how sometimes these large NGOs actually cause more harm than they provide. So, for example, in Africa, they were having a drought and they were having problems with farming, and NGOs came in and provided tractors and they provided wells, shallow wells. Here was the problem with that. While it provided a temporary solution, when the NGO left, if a tractor broke down, there weren't the distribution chain necessary to get the parts to repair the tractor. If the well failed because it was a shallow well, there wasn't necessarily the equipment to dig a deeper well. Now, there are some folks that are on the other side of this that found local solutions that were relevant to available resources. See, that has a better multiplier effect because any dollar donated to buy a tractor is at some point wasted if that tractor cannot be maintained. However, every dollar allocated to an organization that perhaps finds native seeds and plants and sets up a plant nursery, and rather than the water running off in a major storm that might come once a year in that same agriculture area, they adapt their agricultural methods to better conserve water. Rather than open air canals, they have soakage and seepage systems. Rather than adding equipment that cannot be maintained, they educate the local farmers in these new methods. So I'm a big supporter of permaculture, which teaches methods based on the ecology and the climate that are earth-friendly, that are people-friendly, has a certain ethic to it, rather than simply coming in with equipment and fertilizer and GMO seeds. The difference is that one teaches the people how to be more sustainable, and the other makes people dependent. Here's another factor. Many of these loans that are given to poor areas are not designed to help the poor area. In fact, it's just money. And the philosophy of those who receive the money, who are very often government officials, is that they should get a little bit of it before they pass it along, or they're going to hire their cousins or their brothers. So there's a lot of corruption in just giving the money. So what is the philosophy of giving that increases wealth and prosperity? Well, here it is. For every dollar you are a steward of, that you contribute to any purpose, whether it's an investment of maintenance and repair of your home, whether it is investing in a business, whether it is a charitable contribution, whether it is just giving it away as a gift. You don't want to spend the money. You want to instead circulate the money. That money is a seed to grow something of value so that that individual is not dependent on you. And that means that if you are giving to gain or build dependence, so for example, a number of countries have given loans, or the IMF will give loans, and there's a really good book about it. I don't have the title off the top of my head, but they've given loans with contingency of land ownership. So we're going to loan you money to build an airport, and if you can't pay it back, we're going to keep the airport. This is a normal thing that is done. I'm arguing that it doesn't build sustainability. It doesn't build growth. It doesn't empower the individuals that are involved. And in fact, may not in the long term empower those who believe this is a mechanism for control. So in our sustainable wealth secrets world, we want that money to go away as a seed and come right back. We want a 12 to 24 month return on investment. That often means direct giving, rather than giving it to some blind charity. So, when they're talking at your work, they're going to do matching funds. The matching funds concept's a really good idea, but how can you find a matching funds where you know that money is going to go where it needs to go? Another factor is a better involvement in the charity. I'm not saying you have to be on the board or anything, but you have to at least read their annual reports to know whether or not the percentage of money received is actually going towards the cause. You want to check on these charitable groups. You wouldn't give an employee money and no instruction and then just keep giving them money. You need to know that employee, you're investing in that employee, and that employee is generating a yield or return. Now, a lot of folks are going to say, well, Justin, how do I get a yield or return on charitable giving? Because I'm giving to a charity. And if I own the charity that I'm giving to, there could be a double, could be a challenge, a conflict of interest. Well, I've shown you in some of my other programs, including how to profit from charitable giving, or the charitable giving marketing system, is that you can use the publicity and the successes of that charitable organization in order to promote your business. Now, let me give you an example. I mentioned matching funds. I mentioned lending money. You can take, if you have a lump sum of money, say it's $20,000 that you can give away in the year, and your CPA said you got to do $20,000 in charity because you need to have the tax deduction. Now, it's better to increase your income so that the taxes that are being charged to you really don't matter. You make the taxes insignificant because the income is so high and it comes from so many different sources. So what do? Rather than giving the $20,000 to the charity, you can use a structure such as like a charitable remainder trust. You could structure it through some kind of contract or an agreement. It's not my place to tell you what's right for you, but understand that that money raised as matching funds means that for every dollar you give to that charitable organization, they get $2 in return. Now, one of the things that we've done in the past, and I mentioned this in the charitable marketing program, is we'll write a letter to 5 charities that we've pre-vetted and screened. And I know it sounds like a lot of work, but again, this is about investment, not about just giving to give. You know, the good feeling you get from giving the money away could be just as good if you had a spa weekend. But ultimately, what I'm saying here is that you reach out to these charitable organizations and say, look, I have some money that I'd like to invest in your charity because I believe you're doing good work. Now, you're going to know they're doing good work because you read the paperwork. And how could we make this money work further? Now, what happens here is unexpected because most charitable organizations are greedy. Okay. Now the good charities are investing and they'll respond differently to this letter. But some of these charities will say, great, let's talk. And they're going to try to milk you for every dollar you got. That's okay though, because we're now thinking about promotional consideration. So you've vetted these charities as doing good work. Some of them will have good ideas for you to work with them and such. Some of them will be really greedy, but all of them have an opportunity for promotional consideration. Now, you can do an anonymous matching funds, which is fine. But if you own a business, you want to make this part of your marketing campaign because you're going to give them $20,000 to do their good work. And with the mindset of sustainable wealth, you want to get that $20,000 right back from your customers. Now, you have to deliver value to your customers, but you'll deliver the value to your customers using the charitable contribution as a promotional element. And then you may even have customers who will match your funds through the matching funds program with the charitable organization. You never touch the funds that you get from customers for the charity. That's all handled directly. There's the necessary need for reporting on the back end, but you can start seeing the effectiveness of your charitable contribution. If it's effective, which it should be because you pre-screened, then you now have a success story to do this again year after year after year. One client did this, and we're just put the number at 100,000. They did this. They set up a matching funds. We'll match up to 100,000 for all donations you get through the month of December. They promoted that to their customer list to a prospect newsletter. They managed to have, they told the customers, and I've done this myself, if you give me a receipt of your contribution to this charitable organization, that's going to be as good as cash in my business. Now, you will get one funny customer who's going to give a lot of money, and now you're going to end up with a discount, so you can put some caveats in it. But here's the way to look at it. The word is out on the street that you're giving to this organization. Other people are giving to the organization. The organization is getting twice as much money as they would get if you just gave them the money. Your company is getting positive exposure, and there's tactful ways of doing it, and possibly additional customers. Now, there's ways of making sure you get additional customers, but ultimately now what you've done is for every dollar you've circulated in the economy of charitable programs, customer service, product delivery, you've now produced $5, $10, $15. Now, it's not necessarily that $5, $10, $15 is going to be in your pocket. You might set up $20,000 for matching funds. The charity gets $40,000 because there's a match, and your promotion only recovers the original $20,000. But again, think about that. It is a mindset difference, and it always just blows my mind why people are raising $5,000 or $10,000 here and there. They need to be with a systematic approach to not only raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for worthy organizations, but also the benefits of tax deduction, the benefits of marketing consideration, the benefits of seeing people succeed, the benefits of knowing that these charities have the resources to get the results that they need, knowing that the money you're contributing goes directly to individuals who are not only in need, but will not be in need in the future. See, the charity has the incentive never to solve the problem because a percentage of the money you're giving them is paying the costs of the people who are collecting the money. How do we build people up? How do we develop communities? How do we have the ethic of people care as well as environmental care? This is powerful stuff to consider. And if you'd like to talk specifically about your situation and an action plan that works great for your business, then visit me at www.sustainablewealthsecrets.com. You go to the contact page, you contact me, Justin Hitt, and you ask your questions. Now, if you simply have questions, I'd love to help you be more efficient with your contributions so that rather than spending money or giving money away, we're now circulating that money in the economy and building up our local communities, building up worthy causes, and ultimately investing in the world around us so that we have benefits far beyond the feeling of contribution, far beyond the profits of money, and we start building out those that relationship capital, all that other stuff that's more meaningful over time than the money itself. I know when you hear me say we're going to build your wealth, we're going to transform your income into net worth, that still happens. But now you get all of the things that money can't buy. Your life is transformed. The lives of others are transformed. And you have something. You have a legacy. You have something that you can, people will remember for years. And it's a huge difference. So again, if you have any questions, contact my office. I hope you understand that this is a philosophy of giving that is a seed that grows and prospers. And that prosperity very often can come back to you and can, in the long term, grow your ability to help others. Very simple concept that most people miss. They're often blinded by the secular world of greed. Being wealthy is not about greed. Being wealthy is about means and opportunity. And I'd like to help you with that. Thanks for listening. I'm Justin Hitt with Sustainable Wealth Secrets, and this has been about a philosophy of charitable giving.